Perhaps it's a good time for me to just start off with a few things I've got.
Yeah, if you want to.
All right. In that case, welcome everyone. I think this is the first time my face has been on screen and since we did the How to Zoom meeting at the very beginning. For those who don't know me, my name is Beth Martin. I'm the president of HGSG, and I'm the person who's been sending the various emails with meeting reminders as well as the Hudson Green. Just some general announcements. I did include it in the green this week as well, but the OGS conference is now completely digital and they're doing signups, and you can sign up for individual topics. You don't have to go for everything. So for example, I was interested in the lecture on DNA and I could just pay $20 to see just that lecture. And it's nice. It's more accessible than ever because you don't have to book a hotel room or any of that stuff. So I encourage you to look it up. The link is in the green, but it's the OGS conference, and that's April 14th through 17th. Second, we are looking for more officers for HGSG next year. We need trustees, and you can nominate someone to be a trustee. You can email your nominations to myself and Dick Sateva. Our emails are in the green. You can CC additional people if you want witnesses to show that you've been nominated, and you can nominate either yourself or someone else. But if you're nominating someone else, make sure they actually know about it. We are looking forward for more input, more outside perspectives, and if I can't get any volunteers to be officers, we will start seeking people out and asking you. So if you have any interest in joining our group and having input into what we say, we'd appreciate you reaching out. And then finally, if you have not been receiving the emails from me with the green, please reach out to the Hudson Library Archives and they can get you in contact with me and make sure you get added to the email list because we want to make sure we are contacting everyone who's interested. The next meeting isn't until February 13th, and I will be sending out a Zoom link with that later once I have it available. And that's all I had.
Okay. I guess I'll kick things off here. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Derek. I'm one of the reference librarians at the Hudson Library. So I've seen some of you both on Zoom and in person. So hello to all of you, and some of the new individuals. Hello, thanks for joining us. I have the pleasure of introducing Sherry Daniels. I work with her at the Kentucky Historical Society, and she's coming live from Kentucky today. And she's going to present the basics of finding your Kentucky ancestors. Daniels is the head of library and archives at the Kentucky Historical Society, and she's a regular speaker on the national level in the areas of genealogy, local history, and also is the editor of Kentucky Ancestors Online. She also holds a Master's of Science in Library Science degree with an emphasis on archives and special collections, and also has a Bachelor's of Arts in the degree of History. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sherry, and don't worry, we'll have plenty of time afterwards if you want to ask our speakers some questions. So I'll turn it over to you.
Welcome, everyone. So I just want to start out with a little bit beyond what Derek told you about me. The reason I want to tell you a little bit about my background real quick is because I grew up in Ohio, actually. I am a Kentucky girl. I was born in Kentucky, but just across the river in Fort Thomas. And I grew up in Cincinnati. So, and my genealogy, my background, my family roots go into Columbus, they go into Jefferson County, Gallia County, Scioto County, Brown County, Claremont County. So I do this weird rim of Ohio that I have a lot of family history in. So yeah, a lot of research in that area too. But again, like I said, I was born in Kentucky, and my mom's side was mainly from Kentucky. So that's where a lot of my roots also come from. And so, you know, moving back to Kentucky 25 years ago, this career path was just, you know, perfect for us. Anyway, so I am sitting, as Derek mentioned, I'm sitting in the Kentucky Historical Society right now. We have been open since June 8th. Even with the virus, we are open for research. So if you want to travel down and come see our reading room, we're open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 to 5. The only difference is you can't go browse the shelves. You have to request everything and we bring it to you. And that's just because we have to quarantine everything after people use it. So, but we have been open, we are open. And we also, if you can't travel down, we also offer hourly research services if you need us to do some lookups for you and what have you. So with that, I am going to, if I can share screen, can you let me have the screen?
Did that allow you to share it?
And
All participants?
yes, let's see. There we go.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
you guys seeing it? Are you guys seeing a Kentucky land of many counties? All right, I'm going to assume that is yes. All right, so I apologize for the first part. This is going to be really text heavy, and this is going to be some of your solid background about researching in Kentucky. When he said it's a basic intro, it might get a little heavy at first. And then after I go through a few of these slides, we're then going to take an online tour of our resources, KDLA. We're gonna talk about them. We're gonna talk about some other land office, these different resources that you have access to from home, because we know everybody, there's a lot of people still, doing a lot of their work from home. And so I'm going to show you, literally, we're going to take an online tour of some of the resources that will be available to you for free. But anyway, let's get started, because you got to know the background of Kentucky in order to research it, because there's a lot of dates that will dictate what records are available. And as far as handouts, I know there's some questions about handouts. When we get to the online tour, I'm going to show you a couple of the documents that I talk about that you can download, print out for yourself, and have as a reference for some of the dates and things that we're talking about. So Kentucky, land of many counties. Let me see if I can. There we go. All right. Most of you, if you've got Kentucky roots, you already know that we were a state in 1792. And we evolved into 120 counties. So that's a lot of counties to keep track of. And to get from the beginning to 120, there's a lot of shifting boundaries. And I'm going to show you a resource that's really good about helping to track that. We had variable record keeping, especially in this phase between being Virginia and then Kentucky. There's a lot of variable keeping in there. Courthouse disasters. We had a lot of those. And who has what? We're going to cover helping you find exactly who has which part. And there is some homework for you, I have to say, before you dive into researching Kentucky, but I'm going to show you what those are. All right, really early history. We're not going to slow on this. We're going to go pretty fast, I think. Just early history for your information. Indigenous populations. Kentucky did have Cherokee, Chickasaw, Shawnee, and others. They were seasonally nomadic, but based on hunting and production centers in the territory later known as Kentucky. European settlers arriving. They're exploring in the Kentucky territory as early as the 1760s. White men are bringing enslaved men with them. So you do have a mixed groups coming in, hunting, scouting, land speculation, a lot of land speculation. Even George Washington was involved in some land speculation in the Kentucky area. And territory marked as part of Virginia. Now, we all look at Kentucky and we say, oh, this was part of Virginia at one point. And that's true, but it depends on the year. There are certain parts of Kentucky that, like, based on treaties, only certain pockets were considered part of Virginia, and then later it expanded. I'm going to show you a map that's really good for that. That's why I've got a question mark on that. Post-Revolutionary War, we've got a lot of land grants. In fact, you've got some land grants before, but afterwards you've got a lot. The amount increased a lot due to military service, and it broadened our settlement territory. This is the map I wanted to show you. This is from, this is the territorial limits of the Cherokee Nation. And these are based on when the land, different treaties. Now it goes, as you can see, it goes down into Tennessee, and it's all the different Cherokee territories. And why am I showing you Cherokee lands? Well, the reason why is because, as you can see, a lot of Kentucky was Cherokee land. And based on what's really great, now you can look this kind of thing up because it will show you, but like 4 and 5 and 7, those are all different treaties. And so at one point, based on the treaties at the time, only one portion of Virginia, like you can see 4, that only caught maybe a little tip of what would be Kentucky territory. Then you go a few more years and you get 5. So as far as what Virginia actually owned, it was a little debatable until you got to the treaty with Transylvania and Henderson and all of that. So it got a little dicey there, but it was again mainly Cherokee land, and then out in the far west you've got Chickasaw. But anyway, just keep that in mind. There's my years. I didn't realize I had animations in this. So 1770 is that tip in 4, and so that's pre-revolution. 1772, we're getting there. 1775, it's much broader. And 1775 is really important because by the time we get into the revolution, the influx of settlers is coming in, and it's really, it's impactful on the revolution itself, which is something I'm going to talk about here. This is a really big thing here. As colonial settlements exploded in central Kentucky in the 1770s, the Indian presence consisted of multi-tribal raiding parties of Native men. Native settlements were located outside of Kentucky's borders. These parties were joined or led by foreign nationals representing foreign powers, hoping to capitalize on Native successes that those powers could then parlay into territorial control. Now, what this is all talking about is you're talking about the revolutionary impact of when settlers are coming into Kentucky. It's right at this time of the beginning of the revolution. So a lot of times in context, when we see a lot of the reports about Siege of Boonesboro, Martin's and Ruddle Station, those are really, really famous battle. Well, Battle of Blue Licks was an actual revolutionary battle. But we hear about these massacres and these attacks of the settlements when the settlers are coming in by Native forces. These are combo forces. This is part of the British, trying to attack this territory. They don't want the colonials to actually get any kind of foothold in this area. So this is a combo thing. This is something that for me, I've been really recently understanding how much this is revolutionary activity is what's happening. So it's not just raiding parties coming in and attacking. It's literally part of the revolutionary force. So early settlement, these are some of the dates that are going to come at you. So from 1772 to 76, this was all Fincastle County, Virginia. Kentucky was introduced in 1776 when it was formed. And then in 1780, it was divided into the 3 original counties of Fayette, Jefferson, and Lincoln. Now, those 3 counties are really important. 1780, a lot of people, when they talk about Kentucky and Virginia territory, what records are actually available? Some, yes, are going to be in Virginia. But by the 1780s, we do have records here. They were collecting records. In fact, the main record set we have in the 1780s is marriages. They were very, very concerned over marriages. So they did a lot of that. They filed them locally, and we do have some marriages back into the 1780s. Statehood in 1792 brought more settlers. Again, over the mountains, we're getting different trails here. In fact, you've got influxes of settlers coming from multiple directions. 19th century. War of 1812 is important to Kentucky because Kentucky contributed the most men to this war. And the land awarded for service was not in Kentucky. Just FYI, if you're looking for a Kentucky person who had fought in that war and you want to know about their land, look elsewhere. Look more to the west and to the north. Illinois was a great place that the land was awarded. 1840s and 50s, you've got an influx of Irish and German immigrants. And it's funny, they did seem to really settle in pockets, more urban areas. So, the Covington area, Louisville, definitely. I was surprised not as many in Lexington, even though that was a big city. But yeah, and along the river, they had that river highway. They could actually go back and forth between Cincinnati and Louisville. And that seemed to be a really big hub for those groups coming in. Civil War, we were neutral, but then we split allegiance. 2 governments, 1 Union, 1 Confederate. It was messy. Let's just say that. It was really messy. And slave state. We were a slave state during the Civil War, and we were technically exempt from the Emancipation Proclamation. We were home, though, to Camp Nelson, which was this camp where the United States colored troops were brought in, were signing up. And so you had a lot of folks that were formerly enslaved, or they were either A, they were on permission, with permission, or B, they were running away and joining up. And so you have a lot of, if you have any enslaved ancestors from Kentucky during this time, just keep in mind, this could have been how they, a lot of, I'm going to say, I can't really say whether there's a ton. I don't know the actual percentage, but I do know after the war, not all of those soldiers came back to this territory. They settled elsewhere. So if you've heard of any Kentucky ties during this time with soldiers, we actually have the USCT ledger for several of the counties, and that lists owner, it lists their date of birth, lists where they were born. It's really an amazing resource. And so just FYI, there's a lot of Kentucky connection for some of the USCT or those troops. Key dates. Like I said, 1780, establishment of 3 original counties. These counties as well as any other counties formed prior to statehood, maintain existing records from the date of their formation. So in other words, you got to go all the way back as far as you want to research if your ancestors were here then. 1792, Kentucky statehood, state of our first constitution. And again, we were part of Virginia. 1799, second Kentucky Constitution. This removes voting rights for freed African Americans, gives more responsibilities for taxation and regulation to counties. Yeah, 1799 became really, really messy for anyone who was considered a person of color or a Native person, Indian, American Indian. It was really, really messy at that time. And in fact, the Constitution removed a lot of the differentiation between whether you were free or enslaved. And it was really, really hard for anyone to figure out what the law actually pertained to. It was interesting. From early statehood until 1849, the divorces by act of the General Assembly. So up until around 1849, the divorces were brought before the acts, or I'm sorry, were listed in the acts. They were brought before the legislature, so they are listed in the acts. In fact, that was one of the only ways you got a divorce. Now, at one point, you did have some leeway. They were having some of them show up. They could file in local circuit courts, but they could appear in both places. In fact, one of my ancestors got a divorce in the 1830s. It does not show up in the acts, but it is in the local court. So that's a couple things. Divorces are really great. If you find one, that's some really great information there. And I will show you, we do have a divorce index in one of our databases. So I will show you where that is. 1850, third state constitution, required the county officials be elected rather than appointed, set up a system for public education, and limited the state's ability to accrue debt. 1852, this one's really important. Sutton Law requires that county tax assessors gather birth, death, and marriage information for events within county boundaries. So 1852 is the very first time that Kentucky ever tried to collect birth or death records. As I said, marriages have been collected since the 1780s. So this law right here, I mean, they're including marriage in there, but we've already been doing that. All the counties have been doing that. That's really, really good. And unless there was a courthouse disaster, a lot of the marriage records still exist. They're really great. But 1852 is the first time you can get a birth or death record from Kentucky. 1874, this is a second law requiring birth and death records to be sent to the state auditor. Now, why do we need a second one? Well, because as you can see, the first law was repealed in 62, and it just depends on the counties. I keep this little guide. You guys probably can't see because too much if you've got my little thing in there. I've got a guide that we have at the reference desk that I keep by my desk all the time. It's got a county specific list of which years the counties were recording the birth, deaths, and marriages under these laws. Now, we have a guide or a list simply because each county was a little a little different about how they did it. Some of the counties skipped a year or two. And of course, the Civil War disrupted everything. So keep in mind, even though the 1852 law was passed, you've got major gaps in the record keeping for birth and death. 74, they're trying to get them to do it again because most of them just dropped off after with the Civil War. And so 74 is a good year to remember. 1890 to 1910, municipalities keep their own records of births and deaths, but mainly in your larger areas. So you're looking at Bowling Green, Covington, Lexington, Louisville, and Newport. They had 1890 to 1910. The rest of the counties, they were trying. They may be a little bit more sporadic about that. Again, from 1852 to 1910, this is your range of the vital statistics, but there's going to be huge gaps in these. 1911 is when we get a law that actually sticks for actual birth and death certificates. This is where the certificates come into play. And for the most part, let's put it this way, because of privacy, we don't have any birth certificates. You literally have to go or contact the Vital Statistics office here in Frankfurt. It's just up the hill from us. If you came to see us, I don't know whether I don't think their offices are actually open to walk-ins anymore right now with the virus. But in a non-COVID world, you could actually plan that during the week and come in and get it. It doesn't take very long. You fill out a form. I think you pay about $10 and they can get that for you. But so births we do not have. Births are not released. Death certificates, though, we have from 1911 to about 1964 here on site. That office, though, definitely put that on your radar. If you need anything like more recent marriages, divorces, you can get that from them. But again, 1911 is that's when you can really start seeing the certificates that you need, and it's consistent. However, I will add that it was not 1,000% followed. My grandmother was born in 1920 in Eastern Kentucky, and she has no birth certificate. We don't know why. I mean, I'm just assuming that her mother gave birth at home and they just never went to file it. And nobody was really keeping track or really, making people do that. Her sister had one, but she did not. And so that became messy over the years. Let's put it that way. They had to file an affidavit for her birth. Her siblings did. It was really, really messy. So homework, I had told you about some homework. Remember, we were talking about the different dates as far as Virginia and Kentucky and how that territory all evolved. Just remember that, again, from 1 county to 3 counties to 120 counties, you've got to try to narrow down or bullseye the area that you need. You need the data formation plus the parent counties. And that might be your bullseye as where you need to start your research. Now, I've got a handout. I will show you where that lives. It's a much older handout. In fact, there's two. We have since combined that into a more into like a 2-page. The one I've got online is way older. It's just larger, and so, but you can get to all of that information, and I will show you where that is. Yeah, we've got some updating to do. I've been here 9 years, but I've only been in this position about 6 months. So we've got some things that we need to change, definitely. Get some more current items uploaded into that space. So don't forget about shifting boundaries. Even though you've got data formation, parent county is at your bullseye, there were a lot of shifting boundaries, so much, especially in the rural areas. Many, many ancestors may have settled in one space. They didn't physically move, but they may have lived in 3 different counties, depending on how those lines shifted. This is more of an online. This is a print source. This is one we use at the library a lot. In fact, the library there may have one. It's pretty popular, but it's the Atlas of County Boundaries, and you can see from the screenshots that I've got here of the book, you can see how the lines sometimes changed and then went away. Like sometimes they got bigger, then they got smaller. And so That's a really important thing to take a look at if you know what part of a county that your family lived in. And homework number 2, where do you find what you need? So this book also sits at my desk all the time. It is much older. I believe it was, oh goodness, I think it was published, I want to say 92. I think that shows up at the bottom of my screen here, but I can't remember. I think she maybe released one more, another edition, but yeah, it's a much older book. But what it does inside, it's going to give you, in the first half of it, it is literally talking about all the different records that were created in Kentucky. How were they created? Why were they created? All of the background on that. So if you don't have, if you kind of miss some of what I was talking about with the 1852 to 1910, this book really explains so much of that. It also gets into the divorces. It gets into criminal records, everything that you could think about Kentucky records being created. This is a fantastic book. I think it's out of print, or actually I know that it's out of print, but look at a place like bookfinder.com, see if you can, track down a copy. There should be loads out there. The second half of the book, it lists the types of records that are available per county and the ranges, the date ranges. And what's interesting then is it will tell you where they are. So H, if it's labeled with an H, that's us. U is University of Kentucky, and A is the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives. Now, this is great. It's a great place to start. Just keep in mind, it was published a long time ago. I'm not going to say it's fully comprehensive. The reason being, the list of what exists may be accurate. That's great. It's the letters assigned may not be fully accurate, simply because I've noticed that there's several records that we have here that she did not attribute to us. So, just always check our catalog. If you're wanting to research with us or even KDLA, check our catalogs to see what we've got. We may have more than what she's listed, but anywho. Plus each county, what she also lists is each courthouse fire, floods. She gives local agency addresses, which I would say that is too old to even look at. Don't even always get online to check to see what exists now. But yeah, 92. Hey, I got the year right. So again, if you're going to make a visit on site anywhere, always get online to find the current information for that. But otherwise, this is a really, really great piece. We use this around here all the time, even though as old as it is. All right, so I am going to close that, and we're going to start our online tour. Okay, share a new one. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start with us, the Kentucky Historical Society. In order to get to us, you want to go to history.ky.gov. And when you arrive, there's a lot of things to explore. I always tell people, especially during these times with COVID, a lot of people like to burrow down into records. What can I get? What can I get? Take some time and explore some of these sites. It's winter too, sit around in the snow and just explore some of these sites. There's great reading involved. We have a new blog series from the archives. So yeah, there's some great things to read and explore here. But what I really want to point you to is resources, because again, I know you're going to want to know what you can actually get to. So the best thing to take a look at is catalogs and research tools. All right, so anything listed on the first section, these are items that are available to you for free. You can get to them from home for free. All of the things below that, well, not all of them, actually, I think they divided it for me. A while ago, they didn't have that, but yes. So if you're on site, if you ever come to see us while you're here, you can get to Ancestry, Louisville Courier Journal between 1830 and 1922. American Periodical Series, I love this series. This is a nationwide series of small publications, such as fraternal organizations, abolitionist newspapers, not your local town newspaper. They're more literary, political, but they are wonderful, and they are nationwide. They go 1740 to 1940. Fold 3, in fact, American periodicals, not too many libraries have that, except for on the academic level. So that's a really great one that we have here. And we have access to Fold 3. Right now, we do have access to University Press of Kentucky, some of their electronic book, 1,000 titles from their from that. And so while you're at home, you want to see what you can get to. The library catalog is something you should always explore for us. If you want to see what we have, this is where it's just a list. You know, this is not usually going to get you to actual records. The only the exception being it may link you to something that's an archival collection that will usually point you to this one, which is digital collections. So digital collections, there is a direct link to it as well. If you wanted to just go here and play, it's kyhistory.com. And this one has, now this looks like we don't have a lot. We have a ton in here. This is just the format of what they're trying to kind of give you some idea of what you want. I'm going to show you, we have loads of family Bibles in here. Loads that we have digitized. In fact, there's so many. Here's family Bibles. By the way, also you're seeing here Kentucky Ancestors. Kentucky Ancestors, he had mentioned that I'm the editor of Kentucky Ancestors Online. Kentucky Ancestors switched to being an online publication only in 2013. But before that, from the 1960s all the way until then, we were a print publication. All of the issues have been digitized and are available for free through this site here. There's also a list in Kentucky Ancestors Online. I will briefly touch on that in a minute. But anyway, that is something you will see a lot of these issues roll by as you search for different things. So, you know, search for your surname, search for, search for whatever you want. We've got letters, diaries, photographs, just explore and see what we've got. When you click on one of these images, let's say we're going to look at this family Bible. Oh, I think they've improved something for me. Once upon a time, when they first updated this little green pop-out button was the only way that you could actually see. In fact, I'm going to click on this to show you what this does. It is currently the only way that you can manipulate the image a little bit so that you can, well, zoom in. Whee, there you go. So this is the only way that you can do that. But it does allow you now to scroll through and see other images. If you hit a PDF, I don't think it lets you do this, honestly. I think a PDF, you literally have to pop that out. But anyway, we have loads of family Bibles in here. Let me show you now how to get to, I searched for Bibles first. Again, there's all different kinds. There's maps in here. Kentucky Ancestors, there's a link. You can actually get to all of that there. Let me show you though, as far as handouts, what I have for you is, oh, no, I did the wrong thing, sorry. I searched for the right thing before. It's so old, it's literally from 2009. So hang on, here we go. Parent, let's see if that worked. Okay, there we go. I searched for parent counties. That got me here. Okay, so this is going to give you, these are old PDFs, but this is the list of the counties arranged alphabetically. Then down here, list of counties arranged chronologically by date of formation. So if you click on one of these, oh no, it did let me do it. I'm sorry. Learning my own system right now. They upgraded it like about a month before Christmas. And we were all furious about this little pop-out button because they didn't, when a PDF would show up, because our finding aids for archives, those are in here and those are PDF. And the only way to actually see that you had more than one page was to pop that out. And so it looks like they've updated that. So that's fantastic, actually. All right. So this is an older one. I mean, look how many pages you've got in here. But it does give you the county, the date formed, the parent counties, the county seat. It also wraps in the disasters and whether some of the records were destroyed. We have consolidated this record into very tiny print that we hand out to people when they come to see us. And so I'd like to upload that version at some point. Our digital archivist position is empty right now, so that will have to wait until that position gets hired. But for the meantime, yes, you can get to those. This is basically the best handout that I can point you to, because as we said, as you research Kentucky, going back in time, you're going to have to make sure what county you're researching and what record set that you're going to need, because you may have to expand your search into, 3 different counties, 4 different counties. It just depends on how far back that you want to go. I am going to also click on divorces, or I search for divorces, index to divorces in the Kentucky Acts. This is wonderful. I'm going to click through for a sec. Okay, I'm going to pop that out so you can see it a little bit better. Well, there we go. All right. So you can see what this looks like. So it is alphabetical by surname, gives the date, the counties, and a little bit of notes on this and how you can actually get to that. It'll give you the year of the acts. And this one, LIT, that's Littell's Law. So that's not the acts. Sometimes it's listed in Littell's Law, which we also have. And some of those, that's something too. Check like Internet Archive to see if they have I wanted to say they might have actually scanned or digitized Littell's Law so that you could access that for free. So if you get a point of reference, a year, a page, look and see if they have digitized all of that. We have not. Ours are print only at this time. And then here's another thing I want you to look for. One of the things that people come to see us for a lot is our surname files. We have a huge collection. I mean, we're home to the largest genealogy collection in the state. And one of our huge claims to fame is this enormous island of file cabinets. I believe it's over 30,000 files of surnames. And this is the list of what we actually have. So if you can't, if you visit, if you're preparing for a visit, this is great to see whether we've got a surname file on your family. Now, again, these are not in any order. As far as once you would pick out one of the folders, the contents may or may not be related to your family. They may or may not be related to the other people in that folder. It's a magpie collection of random bits of information people have left behind here at the Kentucky Historical Society. They've sent them to us over the years. But there's some really great things in there. Sometimes there's copies of Bible records, photographs, and it's all mostly all photocopy at this point. We've tried to pull out original material and put those over on the archival side. That is something we need to do a little bit more about. I've done it with the counties completely. Sometimes I find some really random, crazy things in these files, but they're really amazing. Family group sheets, a lot of family group sheets that people over the years have filled out and put them in here. So again, you're looking at 30,000 files. If you want to come down and take a look at it, this is a good way to prepare to see whether we've got a file for your family. If we don't, if you can't come down to visit us, you can request that the file be copied for you. We do have photocopy services. In fact, I'm going to go back really quickly here. Let me go back to Kentucky Historical Society. Actually, that menu will not let me. It's hiding everything that I've been doing. So, if you want to know how to get to our forms, if you need research, under the resources on the main page, again, this time you want to click on Martin S. Schmidt Research Library. This gives you a little bit about COVID-19 if you wanted to review the access procedures if you're coming down for a visit. And then fee-based, take a look at this too. Library use policies. This is something that if you've never been to us, visiting with us before, this is something that you sign as you come in. to the library. So this is just our policies when you use our material. But fee-based research services, that's going to give you single record requests, research requests, or photocopy requests. So if you see a surname file in there that you want to have photocopied, let us know. If it's a Smith family, please don't call us. There is at least 30 files. That would be cost prohibitive. I don't think you could actually pay for all of that. That would be too much. So if you got a really super common name, even something like Wilson or whatever, be prepared. It might be a lot of pages. You may want to wait till you can physically come down here. But yeah, if it's something smaller, that's totally easy to do, easy to get done. Also too, I'm not sure what the library situation is where you guys are now, but if your library is doing any interlibrary loan, within the past 4 years, we started loaning out material through interlibrary loan. Now we're a research library. You can't check out our materials normally. What we're doing, it's a case-by-case basis, and it's for duplicate material. So if we've got a county history or something that you just can't get in your area, if we've got a second copy, you can request it through interlibrary loan, your public library. So that's something new that we've been doing, like I said, over about the past 4 years. So I wonder if I can move that thing. I can't really. Okay, so let me go back to resources again real quick. I'm going to go through this because we're getting close to my 45 minutes that I said I would go. All right. Another thing to look at, artifacts catalog. This is our objects listings for the museum side of Kentucky Historical Society. Why would I tell you to go here? Well, just keep in mind that we've been collecting since 1836. And you never know what kind of family heirlooms were deposited here. And it's not going to actually, it's taken its time. It says waiting for. Anyway, what you can get in here, you can search for surnames in here. There's a lot of military history in here. So many different things that you can take a look at. And again, search for your surname in there to see if anybody has deposited anything that might pertain to your family. And so, yeah, these are just some quilts. In fact, we even have some clothing from, remember I mentioned some of the attacks on like Ruddle Station and Boonesboro. We even have a couple of pieces of children's clothing that was worn by some of the children who were there when the forts were attacked. And so yeah, some amazing things. And so once you click on one of these, if there's a family associated with it, you will get some family information in there. So these are amazing. Just click on one. Well, Past Perfect is not doing well today, so I'm just going to back out of this. You get the idea. You guys can do that on your own. Civil War Governors of Kentucky. This is another free database. This is a collection of digitized material from around the state, not just our collection. And they're trying to document correspondence between local people that were trying to appeal to the governor for something. Let's say troops came through and stole their horse, and they'd really like some compensation, or if there's someone who's in prison and they want them to be pardoned. In fact, one of the documents that I found in the county where my mom was from, there was a petition trying to get someone pardoned, and 2 of my 3rd great grandfathers signed the petition. And so it's really cool. There's some really interesting information, some great stories in there. And it's free. It's digital images. You can download all that. Kentucky Ancestors Online. We had talked about that. Again, this is a free publication. And we're really slow in publishing these days. So if you've got some stories you want to send us, we would love to have your articles. We're always looking for more submissions. And lately, some of our programming, in fact, we've got a program coming up January 30th. It is Zoom. It is free. You just register. We are researching. It's going to be about researching Eastern Kentucky families. This year, our Genealogy Tea and Sympathy, that's been going on also since about 2013. But it was a really popular on-site program that we did. We sit around, we drank tea, and we just talk about researching Kentucky families. How do we find certain things? Somebody's got a brick wall. We sit around and talk about it. Last year we did certain topics. This year our topics are going to be regional. So the end of this month, it is, again, it's free, and we're focusing specifically on researching Eastern Kentucky families. We've got some special guests coming in that have a lot of experience researching in the area, and so that'll be really great. But what we've done is recently, because of COVID, like this one here, Cemeteries and Serendipity, you can go watch not only the presentation that accompanied it. So there was one on cemeteries, researching cemeteries. It's a general topic, but we do get into some Kentucky records. And then there's the Zoom program. You can go watch that on YouTube. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of different videos that we've done. But anyway, yes, this is free. You can get to that at KentuckyAncestors.org if you didn't want to go through our regular means. And register of the Kentucky Historical Society. This one, you need to pay attention to this for genealogy. And the reason why is because it started in 1903, and in the early days, they focused a lot on family history in Kentucky. A lot of your pioneer history, your settlement history. And so those back issues, the earlier back issues, I mean, it turned into a scholarly journal, still being produced, still wonderful material, but you have to be a member to access the most recent issues, which I want to say maybe 2012 to present, they've kind of got in this one place called Project Muse. You can access it if you're a member. But the earlier issues, which would contain more family information, is in a place called JSTOR, JSTOR.org. And I think if I click on this, it might actually explain that to you. But JSTOR, it takes you right into Project Muse. You want JSTOR. JSTOR. Oh, there it is. There's a link right underneath that thing. JSTOR. Just get in and create your own free account, and then browse the titles till you get to the register, and you can look at all of these. Anything pre-24 you can download. Anything that's just that's because of copyright reasons. 24 to about 12, I believe you can at least read it all. You can't download them. If you need a copy, let us know. Like I said, you can submit that. Historical Market Database, we run that also in the state. There's some really great historical history topics in there that's being covered. The Historical Market Database, Explore KY History, they've expanded more history based on the markers. And Pass the Word, Oral History. We are also home to the Oral History Commission. And so this is just an aggregated site that helps you locate oral histories throughout the state. These are listings. You don't usually listen to the oral histories from this site, but it's going to let you know whether somebody was interviewed. There are so many people that get into this and they said, oh my gosh, I didn't realize my grandparent had been interviewed. And then they track down a copy of that. So this is a great place to start to search for oral histories throughout the state. And again, it may take you to like Western Kentucky University, and it gives you that entry point, and that gives you a call number that you can contact them and get that. A lot of our oral histories are going up into the digital collections catalog, that kyhistory.com. But it's slow going, and there's not many already uploaded. It's growing all the time, but like I said, we've had the Oral History Commission since the 1960s, so we have thousands and thousands of interviews, and so it just takes a lot of time to get those up. So one thing I wanted to pass on, I mentioned the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives. I said I would take you to a couple different places. This is kdla.ky.gov. You can search them. The reason I'm pointing them out to you is because if you ever come to Frankfort, like I said, we were home to the largest genealogy collection in the state. They are the official state repository for Kentucky government records. So they're going to have, now there's going to be a lot of duplicate records on microfilm for us and them. Like I said, we've got marriage records that go all the way back. We've got tax records. We've got those death certificates. We've got probate records. We have a lot. They do as well, but they're going to have more deeds. They're going to have more court records. They're going to have criminal cases. Again, they are the official space. So the thing is, we are both in the same town, and they are up on the hill on Coffee Tree Road. We are downtown in the older part of the Capitol. In fact, we've got a campus that's got the state arsenal, military museum, the old state capitol that you can tour and everything. So we're all planning on our post-COVID lives. This is always a great thing to be looking at what you can do when you come to research in Kentucky. Come to Frankfurt. It's a great place to start, and then branch out from there because there's many. And in fact, they're open Monday through Friday while we're open Wednesday through Saturday. So it's really great to stagger some of your research. One last thing I want you to search for is if you have early settlers. Oh, I forgot the word Kentucky. Kentucky Secretary of State Land Office. I want you to do that one. This is another government site. This is amazing, but take your time. There's a lot of records here. They have, if you want to think about Kentucky being Virginia and how settlers came in with treasury warrants, land grants, all of these different throughout that process. They have been digitizing those records for several years. I believe it may cut off. I think their funding may have run out at one point. This was a few years ago. I heard this, so they didn't get all of them digitized. But that may be picking back up again. I'm not sure. You'll have to contact them if you want to find out. But like for instance, okay, let me see if I can do this. This is a tricky site, and the reason I say this is because look at all the different links that you have. So I'm going to go into non-military. Take some time and read the overviews. Read all of these. Here's Virginia Treasury warrants. There's even a place she's got some wills that have been located in the office, in the land records. She's got the Doomsday Book in there. She's got so many. And the best, Candy Atkinson, who is the absolute queen of Kentucky land records, they're amazing. When you read all of this, there's a lot of text. Take your time and do that and look for little links. In fact, this upgrade of the website it looks to me a little bit easier to navigate because the Word database is now a lot more visible to people. So I'm going to go into Virginia patent. I'm just going to show you how this works. As the land as the land records were produced, there were different phases in people coming in. And each one of those phases is a different set or different land record set. So like right now, I'm going into Virginia and Old Kentucky patent series. In this one, I'm going to select, let's go with Virginia. All right. I don't know the patent number. I'm going to go by the name. All right. And then I select, and it lets me scroll through all of these different names. Okay. And then once you find one that you want, and I have no idea, we're going to pick a random one. If you scroll down, the images that they've digitized populate. And what's great about this is the land settlement process between all the different, the grant, the warrant, the patent, all of those different documents that tie together. She has tied them together for you so that you don't have to necessarily go through all the different books that we have and track all of these down, especially when some of the land changed hands. Now, it only goes so far. Obviously, these are the earlier settlement parts. But when you click on one of these, look at that. It's absolutely gorgeous. And these are high resolution that you can download for free and use them. You can publish them. You can do whatever you want to with these. This is government records, and they are high resolution, easy to use. Anyway, I went way past my 45 minutes, but that's pretty much the basics for now. That's about all I can cover right now. So I'm going to stop sharing myself and let's open for questions.
Oh, it looks like we have a few questions. Did you want me to go ahead and read them for you?
Yeah, let me see. Well, I can probably open that. Let me see.
Yeah, if you pop the chat out.
Okay, so we've got the handouts. We did that. Let's see. Required by the Sutton Law pertain to slaves also. It did. It actually did. We have a section. Now, I believe Family Search has been digitizing a lot of the earlier ones too. I run across that every once in a while. Ancestry, Family Search, they've been digitizing some of those. So that whole series, 1852 to 1910, it's our own, it's its own microfilm set, and it's in ledger form, really terrible handwriting. It's by year. Well, first it's by type, then so birth, marriage, death, and then it's by year, but not fully chronological. So you'll jump from January to March, back to February, then to August, and you'll bounce all over the place. So, and they're really painful to read because of the handwriting and everything. But yes, the enslaved individuals. That was part of the 1852. And we do have, in fact, we've got some cards. Once upon a time, somebody went through and they were literally trying to pull those out. And so we've got these little typed up cards that is just now, it's only for like maybe a few years. Like I want to say it's like 3 years. It's literally not very long at all. And sometimes it's literally just girl with the last name of the owner. Sometimes they're full names and it's great. And sometimes it's not. It's really hit or miss. But yeah, that did. The early one did. So easy to order from Vital Statistics. Yes. Mail-in seems to be faster. Good. We had some comment there. Who's the author of the book, Kentucky Ancestry? That is Roseanne Reimuth Hogan. I don't know if you guys can see it right there. It's probably backwards for y'all, but it's Hogan. Hogan is her last name. The surname file list is available online. That was through kyhistory.com. Just type surname and you will get to a PDF that has that list of the surnames. And will this be in your website or YouTube? Oh, the Doomsday Book. Oh, you may have to go read about the Doomsday Book. I think she describes that as there's like some extra sources extra documents that they found, kind of things that were not wrapped up in the regular listing. I can't remember what exactly they have in them, but they're land related. I can't remember what they are exactly, but will this be on your website on YouTube? I don't know. You guys are recording this, so I'm assuming this will be on yours. Yeah, there you go. In a few weeks. And keep in mind, I know they mentioned OGS, the NGS conference. That's coming up. That will be virtual. And I'm going to do an even probably bigger one on researching Kentucky. I have to make that video though and turn that in. That's going to be a lot of work, but I may have a little bit more visual examples on some of that. But and we're hoping to expand a lot of our programming on YouTube as well. You can go to YouTube right now. If you go to Kentucky Ancestors, there is I think there's a series there, some genealogy programming we've done that we hope to expand. So yeah, there's going to be hopefully a lot more coming your way. So, any other questions? Atlas. Hang on now. I do know this. Hang on. I will get that for you. I used to be able to say that. No, KDLA is closed right now. KDLA has been closed with the virus. I don't think they have, let's see. I don't think they have a target date to open yet. I wanted to say it's maybe April coming up, but keep watch on their, okay. It is, it's Long and Denboer. So Long is one of the authors, and Denboer is another one. One thing to mention. Oh gosh, and the other librarians here can probably help me. It's Newberry. Is it Newberry? Newberry is the one that can do the shifting maps. That can show you. I'm going to look that up. That's an animated. Let me see if I can post that in. I can't remember. I have to do some digging. I don't have that one right off the top of my head. So how do we find surnames? Surnames, you can search our catalogs for the surnames that you have. Search kyhistory.com for surnames, and even the artifacts. I always suggest to do that. The surname list of the files we have is in that digital collections catalog. It's a PDF. It's kyhistory.com. Just type in the word surname and scroll down. You will see a surnames index for all of the files that we have. And one last one. How would you suggest I look for my paternal grandfather's name that is a different surname than my father's? Well, it depends on the time period. paternal grandfathers. That's not too far away. Gosh, that one's, let me think about that. I mean, if you go back earlier, you know, you might get some guardianship records, but I don't think that would pertain to the time frame here. So yeah, I mean, if there's anything legal to document, I would probably go with KDLA to see if there's, okay, so born 1899. Do you know what county that he was born in? Fayette. Well, let me look up my little, I've got my chart here. Let's see. This is one I would like to add to the list here. Okay, there are some miscellaneous births. Now, it depends on whether you said he has a different name than the father's name. Goodness, if you, It looks like Fayette County was producing some birth records at that time, 1870 to 1928. You might want to contact, I mean, we've got some, technically it could be a lookup to see if we've got something there, if it would give some information. I don't know whether that was, whether were they born with that surname, or were they, you know, did the surname change later? You know, if you know the different name, it would depend. I mean, it would depend on what that record would show, whether, you know, was it under the mother's name? Was it under someone who eventually, so how early were Boyle County records kept? Boyle County, we can look in that, the green book here. So Boyle County will tell you. All right, so Boyle County was formed in 1842 from parts of Lincoln and Mercer counties. So remember, you've got to get back to the parent counties depending on how far back you want to go. And then looks like Boyle County, yeah, there's a lot of records from 1842. So as back as their earliest existence, a lot of marriages, 1842, a lot of deed books over at the archives. Yeah, they don't list any, courthouse burned in 1860 with some loss of record, but that's what this book is really, really great for. Birth recorded in 1944. Father took stepfather name. Oh, yeah, the book, yeah, that's good. So, tax records. We have a lot of tax records here. If you go to our library catalog and you type in tax and the county that you want it from, that'll give you some entries on how far back or what date range we've got. For those, just keep in mind that a lot of our microfilm records are each county, it's almost listed by reel. So if you hit that county and you say, oh, this is great, here's one, look farther down the list or your results list, because we've cataloged them individual reels. So keep looking down that list to see what the actual date range might be. But yeah, we do have them here. Portraits of Kentucky ancestors, so many, we have so many. Look at that the kyhistory.com, the digital collection. And for the tax records, technically, I believe you do. Although try the back end of Family Search too. I think they've been digitizing some of them. Now, if you need a lookup though, we do offer lookup services for taxes. So you can absolutely say, I need you to pull the records for this person, these years, and we can copy and send those to you if you'd like. So that's an option. Back to the photograph question. Portraits of ancestors, yeah, there's a lot digitized. Not all of it's digitized up online, but yeah, we are at 100 West Broadway, which is downtown in the old part of Frankfurt. So the new Capitol is slightly up on the hill, and we are down still kind of in the bowl. So we are just about a block and a half from the old state capitol, if you know where that is. And it's part of our campus. You can go through it. It's really great. But yeah. Any other questions?
I think that's it. No. All right. Well, okay, great. Well, thank you. That was very interesting. Thanks for coming out and speaking, and thank you to everybody coming out here on our Zoom program in our winter day in Ohio. So Thanks again, and we'll see you all later.
Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.